Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here, breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Thursday, January the 9th. We're going to run through this 4-game NBA slate for Thursday, go position by position, just talk about the plays that stand out to me the most, looking at this slate on Wednesday night. We'll hit on Yahoo plays, we'll talk about Draftkings, we'll hit on some guys I like over on Yahoo as well. Just before we do get started, guys, as always, would greatly appreciate it if you would drop a like down below. The videos have been getting a lot of likes recently. I do really appreciate that. Just like my last 3 videos have all gotten over 200 likes. So thank you to everyone who likes the videos. I do appreciate it. Make sure you do subscribe as well. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button down below so that way you get notified every time I upload. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm very active over on Twitter if you want to give me a follow. The link to my Twitter is down in the description, at DFS by Noah. Also, down in the description is my Patreon. If you want to check out all the exclusive NBA content I have to offer over there, you can check out my Patreon link down below. I post NBA content over there Monday through Friday. I put these YouTube videos up the night before, but during the day, I'm working on content for the Patreon. My article, I upload private videos over there. I do a lineup building video every afternoon for the slate. I give updated core plays over on Patreon. Trae Young was in my updated core plays. He had a really big game. Sadly, Michael Porter Jr. was in my updated core plays. But we were on Harden, obviously, was a core play last night. Stacked him up with Trae Young. Did have Michael Porter Jr., which sucks, but Bobby Portis was a core play once we got the news that Julius Randle was out. I think that's why you want to get over to the Patreon. When we get news like that throughout the day, like once we got the news Julius Randle was out, it was Bobby Portis time for me. I loaded up on him on both sides. He was so cheap on both sides. And he's having a pretty big game, just at least as the time I'm recording this video, at halftime of that Knicks-Jazz game. So yeah, guys, let's go ahead and go through the slate position by position. Starting off at point guard, you got James Harden at the top here for 12,200 against OKC. So Harden was obviously a top play on Wednesday night since Russell Westbrook was out. But Russell Westbrook is expected to play today. He's going to play against OKC. It's a revenge game for him. So Harden at 12-2. Probably someone I can avoid on this slate. I don't think you have to play James Harden here at 12-2. I mean, obviously, like the guy has amazing upside. He went for 81 DraftKings points against the Hawks Wednesday night. He had a monster game, played 40 minutes. He shot 26% from the field and 20% from 3, and he still put up 81 DraftKings points. Like, Harden just has insane upside. He got a triple-double in that game. Like, imagine if Harden even shoots 45, 50% from the field Wednesday night. He probably scores 100 fantasy points. Like, if you didn't play James Harden Wednesday, I mean, I don't know what you were thinking. Like, James Harden was easily the top play on the slate Wednesday. Even though he was expensive, he was worth the salary. The usage was there. The matchup was fantastic. Different spot today. Price tags come down, but he's not going to get the usage that he got in that game. So I think we can definitely look elsewhere today. We don't have to pay up for Harden. You do have Ben Simmons at 9K. In a relatively tough spot against Boston, but we do know that Joel Embiid is going to be out for the Sixers. Just this season with Joel Embiid off the floor, like Ben Simmons hasn't seen like massive bumps in his numbers. We can look at the numbers real quick. But I know last time I looked at him, maybe things have changed, but last time I looked at the numbers with Embiid off, Simmons really hadn't seen much of a bump just in his fantasy production. So this season, Simmons has played 650 minutes with Joel Embiid off the floor. About a 20% usage rate, averaging 1.16 fantasy points per minute, 36% assist percentage, nearly a 12% rebound percentage. If we look at the differential, the guy that's actually been the most beneficial, to really to no surprise, the guy that's seen the most benefit, or that's seen the biggest boost, I should say, with Embiid off the floor has been Al Horford. Simmons, it really hasn't made a difference for him this season. I think over time, as you get more of a sample size with Simmons playing without Embiid, I think, like, especially if Embiid misses more games in the future, like, you're going to get big games from Ben Simmons. At 9K, though, I don't think you have to play him today at this salary. He's still a good play. He's still in play for me. I just prefer to go to Russell Westbrook. Westbrook's $600 cheaper. For some reason, whenever guys get injured or whenever guys are out, like, DraftKings lowers their price. Westbrook was 9K on the last slate, and now for some reason today he's $8,400. It's almost like DraftKings is tempting you with the price tag. But I love Westbrook here in the revenge game. I mean, narrative, whether you believe in narratives or not, I think with a guy like Russell Westbrook, a guy that will just go out there and take a ton of shots, will just pretty much do everything on his own. I expect Westbrook to have a big game against his former team, going back to OKC. He's already faced them once this season, but that was at home in Houston. I think revenge games are totally different when you face the team at home, rather than when you go like back to your old stadium. Who knows if like the fans are going to boo him or not, or if they're going to cheer for him. Regardless, I mean, $8,400 for Westbrook's just a really cheap price tag, whether you factor in the revenge game or not. I mean, right now we don't have a line on this game. I imagine this game's probably going to have one of the higher totals. Like between Cleveland, Detroit's the only game we have with a line. It's got a 220 total right now. I think Houston, Oklahoma City probably comes in at like 225, 226 if I had to guess. Portland, Minnesota might come in a little higher than that. I don't expect Boston, Philadelphia to be that high, to have that high of a total. So this game's probably going to have the highest total or the second highest total on the slate if I had to guess. I mean, Westbrook, we can look at his numbers this season. He's still been a pretty productive fantasy player, even playing like alongside James Harden. He does get time on the floor without James Harden. That's when he's most productive. Like they'll stagger their minutes. So whenever Harden's off the floor, that's when Westbrook's when he's the most productive. But this season, Westbrook still averaged 1.32 fantasy points per minute, 32% usage rate, 32% assist percentage, nearly a 12% rebound percentage. Like, still very good numbers for Russell Westbrook. He's playing huge minutes right now. You factor in the revenge game, the little bit of a narrative. His prices come down on Draftkings. I really like Westbrook at his salary today. I think DK's kind of tempting you with the price tag, and I'm kind of taking the bait at $8,400. Now on Yahoo, you could definitely get away from Westbrook. Like, you don't have to play him on Yahoo at $45. I mean, you have Simmons for $4 cheaper. You got Lillard for $1 cheaper, but I still like him over on Yahoo as well. I just feel like Westbrook's going to be a guy that I'm pretty heavy on today, especially if he's going to be low owned. I don't think he will be. Like, I think people are going to play Westbrook because of the narrative, which, I mean, it makes sense. I think the narrative's like true here. I mean, I just expect Westbrook to go out there. When he's got the ball in his hands, he's going to look to score. He's going to look to shut up the crowd if they're booing him. Really like Westbrook on both sides today. But then other point guards, I think Chris Paul, definitely a guy you could look to, especially since we know that Danilo Gallinari is out. Paul has actually seen a pretty nice bump in usage this season with Gallinari off the floor. We'll take a look at his numbers. Pretty much all the Thunder guards have seen a boost in their numbers. We can take Gallinari off. We can take Nerlens Noel off the floor as well, because Noel, he's going to be out today. And we can see who the biggest beneficiaries are. It's mainly going to be the three guards, and Steven Adams are the ones we want to target. So Dennis Schroeder, he's played 400 minutes with both Gallinari and Noel off the floor. 30% usage rate, averaging a fantasy point per minute. But Chris Paul's played 311 minutes with both guys off the floor, averaging 1.2 fantasy points per minute with a near 25% usage rate, 33% assist percentage, 10.5% total rebound percentage. Like, those are very solid numbers for Chris Paul. He was, I think, 6,900 on the last slate. Once we got news Gallinari was out, I did get quite a bit of Chris Paul into my lineups because I really liked him at that salary. I liked the matchup as well. It's 7,400. The price came up a little bit, but I think if you're going to play Chris Paul, you want to do it when Gallinari's off the floor. That's when he has his bigger games. That's when he puts up ceiling games. And 7,400, definitely in play for me at his DK salary. On Yahoo, he's $30, so you can definitely play him over there as well. But then other point guards. So Kemba Walker, for some reason, is 6,500 on DraftKings. Like, we don't know what we're going to get from Kemba today. He played 18 minutes against the Spurs, got ejected in that game. They did say they were going to limit his minutes. I mean, for some reason, DraftKings priced him down to 6,500. Like, Kemba should never be this cheap. I'm not going to plug him into the core plays, at least as of now, until we get clarity on his status, if he's going to be limited again. Obviously, if he's limited, you don't want to play Kemba, but if he's not limited, if we're getting Kemba playing his full minutes for 6,500, he's a top play on the slate for me. I don't know why he's this cheap. Like, he's appropriately priced on Yahoo at $34, 6.5 on DK. The fact that Kemba is the same price as Derrick Rose, I mean, I know Rose has been good this season. I know the matchup's really good, but Kemba should never be 6,500. So I'll be keeping my eye on his status, what his workload's going to be. If he's not limited, Kemba's a top play at 6,500. But then other point guards, I think Jeff Teague really stands out. So Jeff Teague's played 2 games since returning from his ankle injury. First game back from his ankle injury, he only played 17 minutes off the bench against Cleveland, had 15 DraftKings points in those 17 minutes. But last game against Memphis, he got 29 minutes off the bench and had 30 DraftKings points. We don't know the status of Karl-Anthony Towns. He's listed as questionable for today. I'm assuming that Towns is going to be out until we hear otherwise. I'm assuming he's just going to be out until he eventually winds up playing. So I do like Jeff Teague quite a bit at 5,200. You can look at his numbers this season. with Karl-Anthony Towns off the floor. He's seen a nice bump in usage and just overall production. Take Towns off. I guess we could take Jake Layman off the floor as well because Jake Layman's going to be out today. But we know the guys that we want to target from Minnesota when Towns is off the floor. It's Jay, Covington, Wiggins, maybe Culver, maybe Napier. But Teague, he's averaged about a fantasy point per minute this season with Towns and Layman off the floor. 23% usage rate, 31% assist percentage. Very solid numbers. Still really cheap at $5,200. Really good matchup against Portland. This Portland-Minnesota game, going to be one of the better games of the night to target for sure. Minnesota ranks 4th in pace this season. Portland ranks 11th. Two relatively fast-paced teams. Definitely like this spot for Jeff Teague. I like his salary at $5,200. I like that his salary has come down. I'm assuming he gets about 28 to 30 minutes off the bench again. And at $5,200, that is pretty cheap for Jeff Teague. Now, if Kemba's ruled in and if Kemba's a full go today, I will try and get up from Jeff Teague to Kemba if possible. I mean, or you could just play Kemba in this build as well. It just sucks that all of Westbrook, Teague, and Kemba only have point guard eligibility. I don't think you can play any of those guys at shooting guard. But Darius Garland's also someone I like quite a bit as a value play, especially on both sides. He's $4,800 on Draftkings. He's very cheap over on Yahoo. He's only $12 at point guard. You could obviously go to Teague at $18 if you want to do that. I'm totally fine with Teague at $18. But I do like Garland as a just kind of early look value right now, $12. We do know that Kevin Porter is going to be out. Not Kevin Porter. Oh, yeah, Kevin Porter. We know Kevin Porter is going to be out for a while. Dante Exum has already been ruled out for this game as well. And with both those guys out last game, we saw Darius Garland play 36 minutes, had 27 DraftKings points. He gets the same matchup today. That was against Detroit. They're playing Detroit again today. I mean, $4,800 for Garland. If he's going to play 34 to 36 minutes, like his numbers aren't great this season, but getting a guy at $4,800 that's going to play this amount of minutes definitely puts him in play, especially in a really good matchup against the Pistons, a bad defensive team. So I like Garland as an early look value, at least as of now. Maybe if some better value opens up, we can look elsewhere. But for now, Garland stands out as a cheap option, only $4,800. But that's probably all I'm looking to for point guard. Like Brandon Knight got a decent amount of run off the bench last game, 24 minutes, 25 DraftKings points. He pretty much took over the Dante Exum role. With Exum out again, I think Knight plays similar minutes. So if you want to go to him, he's a fine play. I think I would prefer Garland, though, given that Garland's probably going to play 8 to 10 more minutes, and they're nearly the same salary. So moving on to shooting guard. So Andrew Wiggins, I was pretty heavy on last slate, which came back to bite me. He was $6,900, incredibly cheap. It was a really good spot against a fast-paced Grizzlies team, and he just really disappointed. Only had 24 DraftKings points in 33 minutes. That was with Karl-Anthony Towns out. He only took 13 shots in that game, just 4 rebounds, 2 assists. It was just a very disappointing game from Wiggins. I didn't watch that game, but I imagine he just wasn't aggressive and he just kind of stood in the corner. I mean, Wiggins, he's going to be incredibly low owned today because he's disappointed the last few games. So in tournaments, I think taking a shot on him, especially on a short slate, 4 games, like you're trying to find these low owned guys that have upside. I mean, Andrew Wiggins still has a ton of upside with Towns off the floor if Towns remains out today. 7K, like I do prefer him over SGA and I do prefer him over McCollum. I mean, he's going to be really, really low owned, so I think he's worth taking a shot on in tournaments today. He wouldn't be like a core play for me, but in tournaments, I would get exposure to him if I'm playing multiple lineups. D Rose is in a good spot. He had a terrible first half last game against Cleveland, but really came on in the second half. Finally got over 30 minutes. He played 31 minutes against them, had 39 DraftKings points. I'm pretty sure Rose has been like asking for more minutes, and they gave him 31 minutes last game. So, I mean, if we're going to get 30 minutes from D Rose, like he's been incredibly productive this season, especially with Blake Griffin off the floor, and we know Griffin's going to be out. He's averaged like 1.3 or like 1.4 fantasy points per minute. He has like an insane usage rate with Griffin off the floor. Like you could definitely target D Rose at 6,500. Probably would feel a little bit better, like with Wiggins maybe for a little bit more salary, but Rose definitely in play, especially on Yahoo. He's $24 on Yahoo. I think you can definitely target D Rose over on Yahoo. But then other shooting guards, Josh Richardson I think is in play today with Joel Embiid off the floor. Really hasn't made much of a difference for Richardson just in terms of his numbers. He had like a really slow start to the season, but he's definitely been better as of late. 35, 35, 28, 36, 34 DK points. Like Richardson definitely been better as of late. Tough matchup against Boston, but with no Embiid, that's just, you're taking a high usage player off the floor. That's going to be more shot opportunities for a guy like Richardson. I definitely have some interest in him at 5,600. Like a lot of the Philly guys got their prices bumped up a little bit, but Richardson still stayed the same, 5,600. On Yahoo, he is $19 at shooting guard. I think he is one of the better shooting guard options over on Yahoo today. But then other shooting guards, you got the Minnesota guys who could go to, Napier and Culver. Napier with Teague playing 29 minutes. He still got 24 minutes. He wasn't nearly as productive last game against Memphis. I think with Teague starting to get more minutes now, that definitely lowers my interest in Napier. Culver still got big minutes though. He didn't play as many minutes as I thought. Only 28 minutes, but he was really productive with 36 Draftkings points. I mean, neither one of these guys are going to be core plays for me. If I had to choose one though, I would probably side with Culver. But I don't expect to get a ton of either guy. That's probably it for me as shooting guard. I think we talked about everything here. So moving on to small forward, looking at this position, you got the Philly guys at the top. Ben Simmons, 9K. Tobias Harris, 7,300. I already talked about Simmons. Harris at 7,300. I mean, I have interest in him here. Like, he's not a core play for me. He did see his price bump up a ton. I mean, he was 6,400 last slate. He's up to 7,300 today. With no Joel Embiid, that's pretty much a boost to all the starters. So that's a boost for Simmons, a boost for Tobias Harris. Al Horford sees a bump. Josh Richardson gets a bump for me. Like, all those guys are more appealing now that Embiid is out. But, like, Harris, he's really expensive at 7,300. It's probably going to be tough to get him in. Like, if he's a full go today, like, I would definitely rather play Kimba if he's a full go at 6,500 than pay 7,300 for Tobias Harris. Tatum's price tag's really came down. Tough matchup against Philly. With Kimba back, that's obviously going to hurt Jayson Tatum. Like, all the Boston guys really disappointed on Wednesday against the Spurs. Like, none of them had really any good games. You could go to Tatum at this salary. I think he is in play at 6,700. Hayward's pretty cheap as well at 6,600. Even Jaylen Brown, his price came down to 6,500. Like, all these Boston guys saw their price come down. If I'm going to go to one of them, though, it's definitely going to be Kimba, especially if he's a full go today. Robert Covington's still a pretty appealing price, 5,700. He's still getting big minutes right now. He's been relatively productive this season with Cat off the floor. I'm assuming Cat remains out today. So at 5,700, you could definitely look to Covington. It is a really good matchup against Portland, fast-paced game. Richardson, you can also play a small forward at 5,600. Cedi Osman, I think, is a fine play. Cedi Osman, I think he's a fine value. He also got big minutes last game, 36 minutes against the Pistons, 23 Draftkings points. He had like a monster first half. He had like 20 Draftkings points after the first half, and then he finished with 23 DK points. I mean, so Osman he was in line to put up a monster game last game. He is very cheap on Yahoo. He's minimum salary, so if you want to target him on Yahoo at $10, I think he's probably one of the better small forwards. You can go to him at that salary, but we'll talk about another small forward I like for just a little bit more. But Osman's for sure in play at 4,700. But honestly, I think that's it for small forward. Small forward's a pretty gross position. With Joel Embiid out, it's going to be interesting to see who starts. They could potentially start Ferdinand Korkmaz and just move everybody down. They could start Mike Scott at power forward and then move Horford to center. We saw them do that earlier this season. If Mike Scott does draw the start, I mean, he's 4K. He would definitely be in play as a value option. He did get priced up on DraftKings, so he's not like a lock and load value. But if he winds up starting, he'd probably project pretty well for his salary for 4K. He'd probably project for about 26 minutes and probably 22 DraftKings points, which is fine at 4K. Like, I would probably prefer him over all the other guys in that price range. But let's go ahead and move on to power forward. So at power forward, you do have Kevin Love at the top here, 7,700 against Detroit. Kevin Love had a pretty monster game in this matchup just a couple days ago against Detroit, played 36 minutes and had 49 DraftKings points. I mean, I've said it this season, whenever Kevin Love and the Cavs are projected to be in close games, that's when I want to play Kevin Love. This game should be close. Right now it has a 7-point spread. I expect it stays close, and we get full minutes from Kevin Love. So he's in play. Not a core play for me by any means, just given some of the other guys we have on the slate. But I do have some interest in Kevin Love. On Yahoo, he is power forward, and he's $31. Like, if you're going to pay up at power forward, I do like Love quite a bit, but we're going to talk about Al Horford. Horford's only $19 on Yahoo with Joel Embiid out. That's the clear play to go to, just in my opinion. I think Horford's really appealing on DraftKings as well. He's only 6K. So his price on the last slate was $5,400. He did see a decent price bump up with Embiid ruled out today. I think we had this same situation. It was like a Saturday or a Sunday 2-game slate, and Joel Embiid was out. I believe it was this game, December 23rd against the Pacers, Horford started at center that game and had a terrible game. 14 DraftKings points in 29 minutes. The Sixers got blown out. Like, I'm not really taking that into account. I know Horford's been terrible recently, but if you look at his numbers this season with Joel Embiid off the floor, I mean, he's just a totally different player when you take Embiid off the floor. Like, he's really struggled playing alongside Embiid. But whenever he gets to start at center, whenever Embiid's not on the floor, Horford is very productive. This season, he's played 636 minutes without Embiid on the floor. Near 23% usage rate, averaging 1.18 fantasy points per minute. 19% assist percentage, near 13% total rebound percentage. Like, I really like Horford today. I hope people shy away from him. I don't think they will. Like, Horford's going to be popular, I would imagine. But maybe like some casual players will look at his game log and won't think about playing him. On Yahoo, he's only $19. Like, he's one of the best power forward plays on Yahoo for sure. I expect he starts at center. If they do something weird and like start Kyle OQuinn at center, then that would probably lower my interest in Horford. But like I said, I expect he starts at center. I think OQuinn wound up starting at center in that last game against the Pacers, so maybe that's why Horford struggled so much. When he gets to play center, he's just more productive, gets more rebounds, just gets to kind of run the offense. So I really like him today with Embiid out. But then Sekou Doumbé, I think I said that right, Sekou Doumbé. I do really like him on Yahoo today. He was very popular on the last slate. He was very cheap against the Cavs, same matchup. He was $11 on the last slate against Cleveland. He put up 25 fantasy points. He played 33 minutes, had 15 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Really wasn't the best game from him, given the minutes he played. I mean, his price is still incredibly low on Yahoo. And if you just look at the small forward position, like, it's really bad. I don't want to play Eric Gordon with Harden and Westbrook both in. I don't want to play Daniel House. I mean, I really don't want to play Tony Snell. I know he's coming off a big game, but I really don't want to go to him. So I feel like a lot of my small forward ownership today and exposure is going to go to Tobias Harris at 26. It's going to go to Doumbé or Sekou at 13, and then it's going to go to Cedi Osman at 10. So Sekou, 13, like him quite a bit as a value play on Yahoo. I just don't think the price is caught up to like the production, the minutes that he's getting. With both Markieff and Griffin out, like, he's just getting a ton of run right now at power forward. He's playing 34, 36 minutes. It's a great matchup against the Cavs. I like him quite a bit as a value option today. 5,800 on DraftKings. Like, you can definitely look elsewhere. You do not have to play him on DK. If I'm going to play him, it's going to be over on Yahoo. But then Kyle OQuinn, 4,900. This will just be a wait and see. If he winds up starting at center for some reason, I don't think he will. Like, I think they're going to start Horford at center. But if OQuinn starts, he did start that game against the Pacers last time Embiid was out. Played 26 minutes, had 27 DraftKings points. I think that was just kind of matchup based. I don't expect him to start today, but 4,900, like OQuinn, he's an incredibly productive player when given the minutes. So if he starts and gets like 24, 26 minutes, I mean, even at 4,900, he could still go for 30 DraftKings points. So that'll just be a wait and see. But like I said, I don't expect he starts. This is a 7 o'clock game, so we will know before lock who's gonna be in the starting lineup for the Sixers. But yeah, I think that's probably it for power forward for me. So let's go ahead and move on to center. We'll talk about center real quick just before we end the video. So Karl-Anthony Towns, really good spot today against Portland, but we don't know if he's going to play. I expect he remains out. His price is up to 11-1 on DraftKings, and with Drummond in such a good spot today, like, honestly, I just prefer Drummond straight up. Love this matchup for Drummond. He has absolutely dominated the Cavs this season. These teams just played a couple days ago in Cleveland. Drummond went for 61 DraftKings points in 38 minutes, had 23 and 20 with 5 assists, 2 blocks, and 1 steal. Just through 2 games this season against the Cavs, he's averaged 60 DraftKings points. Earlier this season when they played, I think he had like 58 DK points against them. Like, he just dominates the Cavs with no Blake, no Markieff. Like, Drummond's just getting all the run right now. He's playing 36, 38 minutes. This game should be close, and we should get 36, 38 minutes from Drummond today. Even at 10-2 on DraftKings, I think he is still one of the top pay-up options on the slate. Over on Yahoo, he's at $47. I still want to try and jam him in over on Yahoo as well. He's one of my favorite pay-up options today. Just really like the spot. He seems to always crush the Cavs, and it makes sense. I mean, the Cavs are not a good defensive team. They rank 29th in defensive rating. Like, Tristan Thompson has just really struggled to defend Drummond. Like, he's not going to slow Drummond down. Drummond should be able to dominate on the boards. Pretty much another spot, or this is definitely another spot where he could go for 20 and 20. So really like Drummond. Whiteside you could obviously go to, but I think I'd prefer to get to Drummond if possible. Whiteside, or Drummond's 900 more than Whiteside on DK. He's $4 more on Yahoo. Like, I just try and get up to Drummond if possible. Clint Capela, I do like quite a bit, 7,500 against OKC. He did put up a monster game Wednesday night against Atlanta, had 58 DraftKings points in 36 minutes. 7,500 today, you could argue that he's still a little bit too cheap on DraftKings. This is definitely a winnable matchup against Steven Adams. So I'm fine going to Capela. I think between Capela and Adams, especially with Adams' price tag coming up to 6,900, I would prefer to go to Capela over him. If Towns remains out, you can definitely play Gorgui Dieng, 6,300. His production has been like up and down this season with Towns off the floor. We'll see some games he gets like 30 minutes and puts up monster games. Some games he only plays 24, 25 minutes. In this matchup against Hassan Whiteside, this feels like a spot where Dieng would get big minutes. When they played earlier this season with Towns out, Dieng did play 36 minutes and had 41 DraftKings points. Like, if you're going to get 36 minutes from Dieng, this would be the matchup because they're going to need him to guard Hassan Whiteside. So I actually do have quite a bit of interest in Gorgui Dieng today if Towns remains out. Dieng's $23 on Yahoo. The price has come down a little bit. I like him quite a bit over there as well. Enes Kanter is pretty interesting in tournaments for 5,400. He seems to always do well against Philly, but I imagine that's because Joel Embiid. They use him a lot to guard Joel Embiid, but obviously Embiid's not going to play today. 5,400 for Kanter, definitely not like a core play for me by any means. If possible, I would try and get up to Dieng for 900 more. We saw that Daniel Tice was questionable Wednesday, but he wound up playing. I'd assume he plays again, so if that's the case, Kanter won't be like a top option for me. Honestly, I think that's it for center. I think we covered everything. Really no value I like here besides potentially OQuinn if he starts, but like I said, I don't expect him to start. Christian Wood's not been getting the minutes recently, so I don't really want to go to him. Really don't like PJ Tucker, even though he plays a ton of minutes. He's just not productive. Daniel Tice, don't really want to go to. So I think that's it for center, guys. I think we covered everything for this short 4-game slate. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully it helped you. If you enjoyed, drop a like down below. Always appreciate you guys' support on this YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot to me. If you haven't subscribed yet, you can hit that subscribe button as well. You can click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm very active over on Twitter if you want to give me a follow over there. The link to my Twitter is down in the description at DFS by Noah. Also, down in the description is my Patreon. If you want to check out all the exclusive content I have to offer on Patreon, get all my updated in-depth thoughts on the slate, usually in NBA, pretty much every day, if not every other day. Things change throughout the day, like news breaks throughout the day that really changes up the slate. Pretty much just changes how you approach things. So I do like to give updated thoughts on all my favorite plays, and all that's available on Patreon. My article, my updated videos, my private videos, my updated core plays is all available over there. So yeah, check out everything I have to offer on Patreon. Like the video, subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Appreciate all your guys' support. Really means a lot. And good luck tonight, guys. Peace.